Good evening, everyone. It's your man of the hour, the Tower of Power, the living legend of professional wrestling punditry. Hello, my name is Lee Hazel, and this is the SteelChair Shoot, where me and James Toll are going to go through Payback 2017, and we're going to do a little post-mortem. Payback pay-per-view, the first one after WrestleMania, is usually pretty good. Maybe that's because the wrestlers are riding a high after the granddaddy of them all. Maybe that's because they actually get to do what they wanted instead of having to do what Uncle Vince McMahon tells them to do.
There's less rules on this pay-per-view.
Yeah, there's less rules on this pay-per-view, which is actually why I think the in-ring action, the actual in-ring quality of some of these matches vastly outdoes some of the stuff that we saw in WrestleMania, but I digress. We'll get to that in a minute. Hey, James, how you doing?
I'm good, thanks. I'm good. And how are you?
I'm fine, thank you, man, yeah. So, James, the first thing that we have to discuss is Enzo Amore and Big Cass defeated Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson. Sir, what are your thoughts?
I thought that was just how it's going to go when I saw it. That's how I felt towards it.
I've actually got much more to say about this match and about these tag teams like later on after the next tag team match that we've got coming up, because something happens later on that actually makes me even more worried about the direction that Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson are going in at the moment. And even later down the line, in fact, after the very next match, something happens that I think we really need to discuss about. Something really weird about Raw that could have happened but didn't happen. And well, like I said, we'll get into this a bit later. But yeah, at the moment, Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson are just completely treading water. They are the tag team equivalent of the jobbers to the stars right about now. They've done jobs for...
Oh my god, they're the Shining Stars.
Yeah. Since the Shining Stars went on to SmackDown, Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson are essentially the Shining Stars, because are Heath Slater and Rhino even going to be a tag team in Raw?
I think they are. I think they're still doing a tag team thing, because on the recent episode they were a tag team, I think. I don't see why they would split them up. I mean, like, keeping them as a tag team, they've still got some interest, maybe. I mean, the crowd seemed to like them when they came out. But with Gallows and Anderson, if they came out, holding real estate leaflets and for a new resort, I think I would probably just die.
Yeah, only instead of going to the Caribbean, they'll be Puerto Rico. They'll be going to Japan. Yeah, they're selling real estate in Japan now. Yeah, instead of yeah, that's what they'll do. So Big Cass and Enzo Amore.
Big Enzo, small Cass.
Yeah, they take it from Gallows and Anderson. Not really much to say about that. So the next match isn't a match. It's actually, we're going to talk about the segment, Miss TV and Finn Balor. Why didn't they just say sod it and we'll put Finn Balor and The Miz in a match?
This just makes it like more interesting, because who doesn't want to see Finn Balor actually wrestle, especially at a pay-per-view where there's probably going to be like, oh, Finn Balor's wrestling? Yeah, I'll put money on that. But no, we got a talk show. Cool.
I was going to say, like, do you think that maybe his they're trying to protect him a bit more because he did get injured? Like, do you think that maybe they think he's a bit vulnerable to injury at the moment?
Well, as we know recently, you do not hinder the gender. So I think maybe with Finn Balor, they're trying to, like you said, they're trying to protect him. So when they do eventually use him, it's going to be like an explosion. He's going to explode onto the scene like he did when he first debuted on Raw. And then we're going to actually appreciate the weight. That's what I'm hoping.
Yeah, the problem is now is that this has happened to Finn twice. During his match with Seth Rollins for the Universal title, which he became the first ever holder of. This is two big indie legends, two like big mark favourites. But during their match, the marks, instead of cheering on Finn or cheering on Seth, decided instead to massively boo the belt for the entirety of their match. And then when Finn Balor and Seth Rollins, again, two massive indie guys, one from ROH, one from New Japan, two big smart favourites, had a tag team together on I believe it was the Raw after WrestleMania. Instead of the big smart crowd cheering them on, they decided to do a Mexican wave, which, if you read the latest issue of SteelChair magazine, you can see that one of our writers argued that, you know what, this is why guys like Roman Reigns get pushed to the moon, because You spend all of your time focusing on someone like Roman Reigns. When it comes to somebody who you say you're actually invested in, like Finn Balor, you actually just do a bunch of smarky chants, a bunch of smarky crowd reactions, instead of actually, supporting him, cheering him, even buying his merchandise. This is the reason why guys like Roman Reigns are beating guys like Finn Balor and Seth Rollins out when it comes to main event title pushes, when it comes to really giving them the time, giving them monster pushes, giving them the kind of booking that guys like us say we want to see. So, and then that's the problem that I see with Finn Balor in the future, is that despite the fact that we all say we want to see this guy pushed to the moon, ultimately we're not backing that up with crowd reaction, we're not backing that up with merchandise, we're not backing that up with the things that actually translate into money for WWE. So that's one of the things that I'm sort of worried about with Finn at the moment, and maybe that's the reason why instead of having him have a match on Payback, he's got a pre-show segment with The Miz on a chat show.
Well, that's the thing. Like, if I got the chance to see, say, Finn Balor live at any WWE event, or when he was like in ICW or any of these little events, I would jump out of my seat, because I find him that good. He's one of my favorite people on the roster at the moment. And just to, again, it was painful watching that that Universal title match, because as we all know, wrestling fans can be the best of people, but also the worst of people.
And on that occasion, they chose to be the worst of people.
They chose to be. But I would love to see him get a push. Like, even when it was on this chat segment, which honestly wasn't too bad. I could have got a match, but for what it wasn't too bad. And then he said, like, I want my title, and people cheered. I was like, oh yeah, please. And then that just got me thinking of Finn Balor versus Brock Lesnar, which sounds pretty good. Even on paper, that sounds pretty good. So if this is the way that they're going, then I will be happy with that, but only if they're not going to like protect him too much.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that right now, like, the challenges for the Beast, everybody's going after him now, but it's just, his next fight is at Great Balls of Fire, which I believe is going to be taking place on July 9th. And, like, the challenges are just lining up. Braun Strowman is probably going to be in there. Finn Balor's going to be in there. Seth Rollins has put his hat into the equation. Who do you think is going to face Brock Lesnar at Great Balls of Fire?
If I had my way, it would be Finn Balor.
Finn Balor.
But if we're still going down this path, I believe that the next person will probably be Braun Strowman.
Yeah,
because when it comes to the supposed plan for WrestleMania, there's going to be Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar for the Universal title. That will make sense in a way. In how wrestling can make sense in that sort of way.
See, the thing is, I think it should definitely be Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns. I don't think it should be for the title, and nor do I believe that Brock Lesnar should have the title for a long time. What I think could probably be a really good way of doing this is have Braun beat Brock Lesnar for the Universal title. Have him be the guy who legitimately put the Beast down, and if you're the guy who legitimately put Brock Lesnar down, then that gives you a whole new level of, like, incredible booking opportunities. And then after you do that, you build up the program between him and Roman Reigns until WrestleMania, when Roman Reigns can be the guy who puts down Braun Strowman, and then it's not Brock Lesnar champion versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. It's Roman Reigns champion versus Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania.
I think for that to happen, you'd have to take into account the money that Brock Lesnar was given to lose to Goldberg first, and then double it in order just for him to lose to Braun Strowman.
Yeah, probably. I mean, like, that's the thing, though, is that, like, what else is a guy like Brock Lesnar for at this point, if not to build up other stars? Not to make the guy who eventually puts him down the megastar.
I can see your point, because that would be good. That would be, like you said, a way to make someone even bigger, make them see, like, oh god, they're a threat. But again, we're also in Vince's world.
Yeah, I suppose. But at the same time, it's like, there's just, like, he doesn't really serve much purpose. Like, him as a monster heel has gone as far as it can go. There's not really many other places that it can go after this. Like, who else is he gonna, like, you know, stomp on? You know, if he can stomp all over John Cena, Roman Reigns, and everyone else that he's taken on, you know, who else is there that isn't going to be just, you know, like a straight up squash match like Dean Ambrose versus Brock Lesnar was at WrestleMania 32?
Oh, that was a match and a half. I don't know what they're going to do with Brock, considering that he's not even here half the time. They even reference it on the show.
Yeah.
When Dean Ambrose referenced it, saying like, "Oh, he's not here, so how about this title?"
Yeah, like
How about this secondary title?
Yeah, legitimately, the Intercontinental Championship right now is actually the biggest belt on Monday Night Raw, which is why I genuinely thought, before this pay-per-view, they were going to have it so that the United States Championship and the Intercontinental Championship both came over to Monday Night Raw because, you know, essentially now we've got a 2-hour show in SmackDown that has 2 men's single titles, and we've also got a 3-hour show that has 1 men's singles title. I actually think they needed the 2 secondary titles because if you've got the WWE Championship on SmackDown, you don't really need anything else. But Raw, it needs that. It needs to pad out its running time with title matches occasionally, and the United States Championship would have been a good addition to that.
I think just Brock needs to. They need to do something with Brock soon, or else the criticism is not going to really stop about him just not being there. He just needs to come down and say, "Yeah, I'm still here. I'll still beat anyone in front of me." Then maybe someone comes down and goes like, "I want that title," and then they stare down for a bit. They just need to acknowledge that he's still a thing there, instead of just like pretending it doesn't exist.
Yeah, but remember they also did this after SummerSlam. I can't remember what year it was, but after he beat and absolutely destroyed John Cena for the WWE title back then, like. WWE was a company without a champion for ages and ages and ages. I don't think he even came out of the woodwork again until like months later to defend it at another pay-per-view.
Oh, well, let's just hope that they don't fall into the same trap that they did before.
The thing is, if it was such bad business for them the first time round, they wouldn't have done it the second time, and they're basically doing the exact same thing. So I'm thinking that maybe it doesn't really matter to the ratings or to the merchandise sales or to the business of WWE that they don't have a champion, like a visible publicly facing champion on television for a while. Maybe it doesn't matter at all.
I guess the logic with them is that when he does appear, it's going to make the ratings spike a little bit. Maybe that's the thought process in that one.
Yeah, like having the heavyweight champion, instead of being a guy who's there all of the time, having him as a main attraction for the times when they really do want that little boost of adrenaline. Yeah, that's a good idea. Anyway, so next one, Chris Jericho versus Kevin Owens for the WWE United States Championship. James, what do you think about that one?
Honestly, I thought this was better than their WrestleMania match.
Yeah, same here, yeah.
I just liked, again, it was the story going into it was great. And this is going to like reiterate some thoughts that I had about the WrestleMania match. But this one felt like it had more in it. And there was like more emotion and there's just more action going on in the ring. And it even brought back the one finger that stopped Jericho winning at WrestleMania came back and he went mental. He just completely destroyed Kevin Owens' finger. Oh man. It's moments like that because especially when I was going into this pay-per-view thinking, this isn't going to be that great. Everyone kind of knows what's going to happen. And then it opens with this. I'm like, okay, now I'm awake. Now I'm going to pay more attention.
Yeah, no, it does. It makes you like stand up and pay attention. Yeah, absolutely. So like Chris Jericho versus Kevin Owens. I wouldn't necessarily say that this was the match they should have had at Mania, because I don't think you could have told that story without there being, like, a match going before it. So I think they needed that match at WrestleMania in order to be able to have this kind of a contest. The whole finger thing, I think, was really excellent. Like, the way that was a callback, that essentially becomes the way that Jericho defeats Kevin Owens, because essentially what he's doing there is incredibly heelish behaviour. Like, that's a hell of a heel move to, like, put somebody's hand in between a ring post and a set of steel steps and then deliberately try to injure it. But that's the kind of face move that WWE needs to pull a little bit more often, showing like the faces are mad and they're not gonna take the bullshit of the heels anymore, which I think was actually really cool. And yeah, but the problem I've got with this match, and this is like the advantage to us doing this, the week after the event has actually happened, is that we now have the context of like the SmackDown after the show.
Yeah.
Why did Chris Jericho beat Kevin Owens at the pay-per-view? Why did that happen? I mean, like, the theories going around were so that Kevin Owens could continue being on Raw, to continue with that whole faction thing that he had going on with Samoa Joe, with Triple H. The other thing is that Chris Jericho looked like maybe being with WWE was better than him being with his band, touring all over the world was going to be a more lucrative thing for him. Maybe that got... Well, the thing is that he's had a new single out recently, and apparently that's done a lot better than anyone thought it was going to do. Like, his song Judas is, legitimately good. Like, I actually put on Twitter, like, usually a bunch of people like really mediocre stuff just because it's associated with their favourite wrestlers, and for a long time I thought Fozzy was at the top of that list. But now, like, I've actually listened to that song, Judas, and it's a really good song. It's actually, like, quite, 80s, 90s metalish, which is, suits me down to the ground. So now he's back out with them. Everything's exactly the same as it was 2 weeks ago when SmackDown left the air leading up to Payback. So I don't understand why there was this just, 5-day title change.
Well, I'm in the mind of thinking that this was kind of like WWE being self-aware, that they knew that people were thinking that Kevin Owens is going to retain and basically put Chris Jericho out so he could tour with his band. So I think maybe this was their idea of like, hey, people are aware of this, let's spin it on their heads a little bit and make Chris Jericho the winner.
Yeah, but that's not like... That's quite weak storytelling as far as I'm concerned. Anytime you do something simply for surprise to keep people on their toes, especially when, this isn't like the heavyweight championship. Like, this is just the United States championship, and for it to just revert straight back to Kevin Owens being the champion after this just felt really felt kind of weak sauce to me. And yeah, okay, they had a really good match on SmackDown. They had a really good time, again, calling back to the finger once more, the finger of doom or whatever it is they called it. But yeah, I was actually thinking, I really did think that this was done to keep Kevin Owens on Raw, because the faction that he was creating with Triple H and with Samoa Joe was this really intriguing, mysterious thing that WWE have put in a lot of hints to, and yet they've done nothing with. I don't understand, where did that go? They were supposed to, and Gallows and Anderson as well were supposed to, they came out during one of Seth Rollins' promos to defend the honour of Stephanie McMahon, essentially aligning themselves with Triple H, and they have had absolutely nothing to do with them since that, which is a real shame, because that could actually give Gallows and Anderson a direction, because right now they are completely directionless. But yeah, so... Yeah, I really don't know what's going on.
I honestly completely forgot about that.
Yeah,
I forgot that was a thing.
It was like there was one Raw where it was hinted that even the one that Triple H was on, he was talking to Gallows and Anderson. He was talking to Samoa Joe came back. He was talking to Kevin Owens. In fact, it sort of seemed that he was the one who convinced Kevin Owens to betray Jericho at the Festival of Friendship. And then you had Gallows and Anderson come out to defend the honour of Stephanie McMahon. But then that whole thing, since the Superstar shake-up, has just completely fizzled away. There was no Samoa Joe at WrestleMania backing up his man Triple H. There was no linking between Samoa Joe and Kevin Owens. There was no Samoa Joe even in the Kevin Owens-Chris Jericho match, which a lot of people predicted would actually happen. And this whole angle has just kind of fizzled out, despite the fact that it got a lot of buzz on social media, and it got a lot of the fans really intrigued, and then the premise itself just got, in general, a really positive reaction. I don't know why they dropped it like that.
Yeah, it is a bit weird about how this whole thing has sort of fizzled out and ended. About the whole Kevin Owens and Samoa Joe thing, that just seems like because it was clear that there was a sort of clear path they were going for at the start, and I think and the Superstar shakeup has kind of shook it up and not made it a thing anymore. So maybe that's just some issues in the writers' room, or just like in the creative, they weren't sure how to do it, so they just kind of backtracked and just like started over again. And if that's the case, then that's really depressing, because that could have been really interesting to see what they could have done.
Yeah, it's a shame. It's like it had all of this promise and it's gone absolutely nowhere. Maybe it's because, I haven't seen Triple H hide nor hair of him since the end of WrestleMania, like neither him nor Stephanie McMahon. So maybe they just decided they didn't want to be on television, and there was no point in him leading a faction if he wasn't going to be on television.
That would make sense. It's just, again, it's depressing that we haven't actually had anything since that, and now it's just a figment of the past.
Oh well. Okay, so the next one is Austin Aries versus Neville, and I don't have an awful lot to say about this one, except for the fact that this was by far and away my match of the night. I really want to see more of this just straight up, incredibly crisp, clean, excellently executed technical battles between WWE superstars. And if you're going to do this, then Austin Aries and Neville are two of the absolute best in the industry. My God, this reminded me of like the old, like the Chris Benoit, Eddie Guerrero, Kurt Angle type matches where you just had technical excellence the entire way through. Yes, I think it was a bit of a shame that Neville had to resort to the whole deliberately getting himself disqualified thing, but at the same time, if you're going to have a heel win, then he's got to win in a heelish and dastardly way, so I'm kind of okay with that.
Yeah, I thought that the match flowed really, really well, and especially when it got to that point where Neville is in the submission move and Austin Aries is about to make him tap, and again he pulls the referee just to make himself disqualified. I thought that was executed perfectly, because that just suited Neville so well in that situation, making him seem like this dastardly heel that is grasping at his title, and he's keeping it so tight to his chest that he'll do anything to keep it. That just makes him more interesting to me.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not like, a lot of people say that they want clear, definitive winners. Well, despite the fact that one of the things I really liked about this match more than any other was the fact that, unlike a lot of WWE bouts, this one felt like just a straight-up contest. It felt like it gave a sense of legitimacy to WWE-style wrestling, which is something that WWE often struggles with because it's so concerned with storytelling that it kind of leaves a legit sportsman-like nature of its matches kind of like on the wayside.
Yeah, so, and if anything, it's slightly legitimizing the cruiserweight title.
Exactly,
I would say,
yeah,
because it's building up. These two people are absolutely trying to tear each other apart, and one of them's trying to keep it so close to them that it makes this title seem like the most important thing ever compared to the US title.
Yeah, precisely, yeah. And that's the thing, 205 Live has massively gone up recently in my estimation. The cruiserweight matches on Raw have actually been of a much higher standard and quality, and people are actually starting to get into them now, which is, really good for that division, because I think it's got some of the most talented people in all of WWE are currently languishing in 205 Live. Well, suddenly being on 205 Live can't really be considered languishing anymore, and I think it's matches like this that really do it that service. And yeah, I would a lot of people have the complaint that you want to see genuine, legitimate winners and losers, but at the same time, storytelling like this is actually the good type of storytelling, because a lot of what happened at WrestleMania was WWE trolling its audience, whereas this was genuine heel heat, narrative heel heat, something that came organically, that came out of the character of Neville, rather than WWE deciding what will piss off the fans the most.
Yeah, I would agree to that, especially just because Neville is a great heel at this point, and he's only going to get even better as long as he holds this title, because he's been holding it for a while now. So the fact that he's holding it for this long, and there's still people trying to come after him just for that title, and even getting later on in I think the week after we had TJ Perkins on his side now, so he's even getting people on his side. He's started to build up as this this gigantic monster that needs to be defeated, and when he does, everyone's gonna know about it.
Yeah, and even T.J. Perkins' character is much, much better now. I actually heard him speaking in a locker room in a backstage segment, and he didn't have a single video game reference. So
And he didn't make me cringe once.
Yeah, so already, his character is massively improved. The problem now stands that WWE is kind of, especially 205 Live, kind of got a real problem with baby faces at the moment. Because the most charismatic people on there are Neville, Brian Kendrick, Austin Aries, and there you've got 2 heels and one guy who is much better at being a heel than he is a babyface. And then you've got a natural born babyface in TJ Perkins, but they couldn't even make that work with him. They had to turn him bad. One true blue, straight up charismatic babyface they've got is Jack Gallagher. And even him, I can easily see them turning him heel at some point.
No,
because
heel.
the whole gentleman thing just lends itself so well to the whole snobbish vibe that as soon as his character starts taking a downturn in popularity, I can immediately see them just making the switch, just because it makes so much sense to his gimmick.
I just want more people challenging him while he prepares them tea. I just want more of that.
That was actually great. Yeah. It was a shame that it was actually that segment was wasted on Daivari, because I think that could have gone really well with somebody else. Oh no, wait, he did that with Neville as well, didn't he?
Did he?
Yeah, he did actually. Yeah, he got Neville on a contract signing on WWE Raw, and he said, "Well, I thought we could have a spot of tea and some biscuits," and Neville just tosses the pot away. So yeah, no, he has done that. Yeah.
Then he said he wasn't "You're not true British like me."
Yeah. Which, I actually thought that was a really good, that was a really good section, yeah. So, forget what I said earlier. Okay, cool. Did you have anything else you wanted to say?
I'd just like to say that Neville has been having some really good matches, and if he keeps going down this path, then it's going to lead to even more for him, even more opportunities.
Yeah. I mean, Neville just oozes match quality. I mean, at some point, I do want him to come out of 205 Live and start fighting for the Intercontinental Championship, because I do think he would do really well in that division.
I think he just suits heel, and the fact that it took this long to turn him heel, is a shame. Well, we should all be ashamed.
Well, that's the thing, character-wise, he actually does make a very natural-born heel, but when you actually look at, the things he's capable of doing as a wrestler, his moveset is actually natural-born babyface. But the good thing about him is that he can actually change his entire repertoire of moves to something that is meaner, that is harder striking, that has a viciousness and aggressiveness to it, that really does suit the whole King of the Cruiserweights feel, as well as that, him doing the Rings of Saturn, and I hate to say this, I actually think that he does the Rings of Saturn better than Perry Saturn did it. I know, and especially, with Perry Saturn right now going through, I don't want to kick a man when he's down. He was a great wrestler. I absolutely adore Perry Saturn. I wish I had money in order to be able to give him in his current, downturn of life. Yeah, but, Neville, doing the whole submission thing just really works well for him. Cool, nice one. So the next one was the Hardy Boys defeated Cesaro and Sheamus. James, what do you reckon about that?
Wonderful!
Yeah. Marvellous!
Yes! I'll never get tired of it.
Cool, yeah.
I will never get tired of it.
And I do like this match, and I did think it was a really good match, and I think that the turn that Cesaro and Sheamus does actually makes a lot of sense, because, once again, this is, WWE realised how popular Sheamus and Cesaro were. After the Raw after WrestleMania, they got one of the biggest fan, babyface reactions I have ever seen, to the point where Sheamus and Cesaro, on the apron, dancing along with the crowd, and that was fantastic. But that's what makes a heel turn like this, so effective. The fact that they do like them, the fact that they, it's like what worked about Hollywood Hulk Hogan. When he turned heel, Hulk Hogan turning into Hollywood Hogan, taking somebody that fans absolutely love and being betrayed by them is great. It generates such genuine heat. It's fantastic. And, the fact that before, Sheamus kicked Jeff Hardy in the head so hard that one of his tooth came flying out.
Oh, that looked so painful.
Bad, yeah.
Oh,
so painful,
poor Jeff.
Yeah. But now, though, comes the problem with this. When you put this match into the wider context of Monday Night Raw, Cesaro and Sheamus, now being the big, burly, hard-hitting heels, now occupy the exact same spot on the card as Gallows and Anderson. There is no point Gallows and Anderson being there now if Sheamus and Cesaro are basically going to do the exact same thing. There is literally not enough room on Monday Night Raw for both of these teams.
Yeah, I can see what you mean. They've just switched them around. Maybe because they couldn't think of anything to do for Gallows and Anderson, but they've managed to. Well, that's the thing I was thinking about for like these past 3 matches that have happened. Is that all of the setup and all of the stuff going into it felt organic.
Yeah,
and that's again, like you said, Cesaro and Sheamus' turn felt natural and was like, hey, we're betrayed by the fans. Screw them. We're doing our own thing now. But to have Luke Gallows and Kyle Anderson, these guys they're great. They're actually really good. And to have them just be like an afterthought on the pre-show, they must be looking at their contracts, thinking when is it going to run out at this point.
Yeah, I mean, and like I said before, the only direction I can see for them now, but I don't even know whether or not this is going to happen, is that they should be Triple H's stooges. They should be like a couple of like heavy-hitting enforcers for Triple H, so they can be on the top of the pile, at the top of the card, without necessarily occupying a spot going after a title. Because right now, it's kind of redundant for them to be there. And why did they not put one of those teams on SmackDown? Why did SmackDown, of all things, get the Shining Stars? And even the New Day, like, it's no real loss for Raw, because for the last, like, I would say 4 or 5 months, New Day have not really had anything to do with the tag team titles. They've been, they've been doing the whole sideshow thing. They've been part of the entertainment segment of the program, rather than actually being a part of the title picture.
Yeah, I just had this thought as well with the Raw tag team side. We've got Sheamus and Cesaro, the hard hitters. Yeah. Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, the hard hitters. And we've also got the Revival, the hard hitters. How many hard hitters have we got?
In the space of like a few weeks in WWE got the Revival and it got the Hardy Boys. Meanwhile, SmackDown is starved of tag team talent.
We got the Colognes.
They got the Shining Stars. Like, that's who they got. I can't believe, they should have at least gotten either Gallows, Anderson, Sheamus and Cesaro, or the Revival. They should have got one of those guys.
Meanwhile, SmackDown is just hemorrhaging tag teams.
Exactly, yeah.
They lost the Vaudevillains.
They lost the Vaudevillains, yep. And now Aiden English is jobber material. Essentially, now they're treating him as that. He jobbed to Ty Dillinger this week. That's how little faith that WWE have in the ability of Aiden English to be anything other than a jobber. They made him job to Ty Dillinger, who in 6 months' time, I hate to say this, I can't see him going anywhere with the whole 10 thing on SmackDown. He's going to be a jobber
10.
himself.
But 10, Lee. 10.
10.
10.
There are only so many times you can say that number without people getting absolutely sick of it.
Is it 10? Is it 10 times?
Apparently it's more than that, James, because in the last 4 weeks I've heard it at least 8,000. Maybe it'll be 10,000. Maybe that'll be it.
That's when
it'll be 10,000 times.
I'll have to say it's 10.
Yeah.
I like the 10.
Cool. Do you have anything else to say about the Hardy Boys versus Cesaro and Sheamus?
I feel like, because of the rumours surrounding this whole pay-per-view regarding the broken trademark, I feel like they were hinting at it so badly, but they didn't want to say it. Mm-hmm. Especially with Matt Hardy doing delete, doing obsolete, all this stuff, and even the commentary team saying the Hardys have been broken, stuff like this. It's like, when this happens, it's gonna blow. It's gonna blow people's minds.
I want this to have a nice slow build. I want this I want essentially this to be another broken origin story. I want them to basically reboot it. So
I do like the idea of it being broken, but I feel like as well, isn't he already broken at this point? He kind of does the same sort of stuff as broken, but he's also kind of like version 2 Matt Hardy. But
yeah,
how many Matt Hardys is he?
Yeah, I don't know. Cool, so the next one. Alexa Bliss defeated Bayley in her hometown. Now, I've got a few
Those bastards.
Now, I've got a few things to say about this. Firstly, this is Alexa Bliss's best match ever. I think she's really coming along as an in-ring talent. This girl is not just personality and pretty looks. She is a genuine in-ring, match-calling, move-performing talent. And WWE, she may very well be. And this is actually something, in NXT, there was no way Alexa Bliss could even get near the title picture. It didn't make any sense whatsoever for her to be in the title picture. But on WWE, and this shows just how different a product WWE is to NXT, of course she's the Raw Heavyweight Champion. Of course she is the absolute best thing that happened. She wasn't anything to do with the 4 Horsewomen. Like the 4 most hyped up women in WWE history. And yet she has actually proven herself to be more of an asset to WWE than Sasha Banks, than Charlotte, and than Bayley and Becky Lynch has. And that's incredible. That's like mind-blowing to me. And yet, here we are. She's got the look, she's got incredible personality, great promo skills. She acts better than anybody in WWE, including the people who have been in actual films. And yeah, and even here, she proved incredible in-ring talent. And yeah, she should have beaten Bayley in her hometown, because that's what you do. I don't know if, people seem to forget that WWE have a tradition. In fact, wrestling itself has the tradition of generating massive heel heat by having the heels beat and humiliate the faces in their own hometowns in front of their friends and family. It's just what happens in wrestling. And it was great to see that happen, because it's that thing that Alexa Bliss has over Bayley, and can used to just rub her face in Bayley's failure and Alexa Bliss's success, and that's a great thing. I genuinely, despite the fact that I have huge admiration for Alexa Bliss, every time she's on television, just my heart just slowly twists and contorts in a deep-seated anger at how she has treated Bayley, and the fact that she has been rewarded for treating Bayley like a piece of shit, which I think is great, and this is how wrestling should be.
Well, I agree also in the fact that I'm also an Alexa Bliss fan in this case. No offense to Bayley, but Alexa Bliss is better.
Yeah,
that's just my thought. The hugger section and everything about Bayley is fun. I like the whole sort of thing she's gone for, being just a played oh look, I'm having fun. This is great. We're gonna have hugs. But when Alexa Bliss just rolls in and just tears your face off, then that's when I pay attention, because, like you said, she's got a great personality. She's got great mic skills. She's able to basically. Even though she's the shortest person in the ring, she still stands way above everyone when it comes to how she performs. I
think she might be the shortest champion in WWE ever, if you, exclude, the genuine little people.
If you exclude Hornswoggle.
Yeah.
Why did you make me remember Hornswoggle?
He's not the only one, dude. He's not the only one.
Well... Oh, let's talk about Alexa Bliss, please. I thought it was, again, perfect, organic, that she beat her down in her own hometown. Because, guess what, guys? That's what heels do. They do this sort of thing. Get used to it.
Yeah.
And she just suits being a champion.
Yeah,
she suits being as when she was on SmackDown, she was great as champion.
Yeah.
And now that she's managed to just stroll in, steal the win to get the opportunity, and then manage to become champion. Just she's at the top already. I don't know what they're gonna do next with her, but the fact that she's going on this route now makes me completely trust how they're handling the Alexa Bliss situation.
Yeah, I mean, she's come in and her charisma, her expressions, she just draws attention towards herself, in every single thing that she does. She takes the crap that WWE write for her and she makes it work, whereas someone like Sasha Banks was struggling to really find her voice in WWE, and Alexa Bliss has taken their garbage and she has turned it into diamonds. And yeah,
I'm just sad that we have not yet got Charlotte versus Alexa Bliss. I'm just imagining that dream match in my head, and it just seems quite good. Like you said, because they're both good match callers.
Yeah.
And if they were able to combine that talent together, I feel like we'd get something special.
Yeah, and that's the thing, like, I don't really see where they go from here. I mean, like, okay, Bayley's gonna get her rematch, but then after that, like, who challenges Alexa Bliss after Bayley? Because eventually, we might have the whole, like, Sasha Banks heel turn where her and Bayley have, like, a program together, but I don't know, like...
I keep hoping that Paige is gonna come back at one point, but I feel like every day that possibility gets less and less possible. So I feel like Alexa Bliss might take on Nia Jax next. I feel like that's the next thing they may do.
I really don't know how they're going to handle Paige coming back, because there's going to be, smarks in the crowd chanting extremely obscene things. And you can't have that on a PG product, you know what I mean? Like...
I do know what you mean, and that's depressing. Maybe when it all dies down, but there's a possibility it could come back up again. It's a real shame. It's a real shame.
Oh, well, right, so...
That's too much if we've ended on a down note, even though they were great.
Yeah!
Let's try and bring it to a little bit up to mediocre with the next match.
Which is the next match?
Seth Rollins versus Samoa Joe.
No, you see, I've got it different here. I thought you might say that. I've got it different.
Oh, okay.
Because it was after Alexa Bliss versus Bayley that we actually got the in-ring segment of Bray Wyatt versus Randy Orton.
Oh no, this was fucking brilliant.
Did you like this?
In the way that you can watch The Room and think it's brilliant.
You see, I didn't like... Even when it come, like... Okay, right. Bit of context here. This was the Bray Wyatt versus Randy Orton match. Like, the vast majority of which happens off camera, out of arena. Not off camera, it was literally only cameras. It happens out of the arena in a pre-taped segment in a house somewhere in Wisconsin, like, or wherever it is, the hell depressing place they was where they filmed that match. Like, dark, like, where the actual arena is at this point in time, I have been reliably informed, the sun was still shining. And yet this match takes place at the dead of night, so clearly it cannot be live. Like, all...
I didn't know that.
Everyone has said, like, at that time, at that place, like, the sun was shining. Like, it was just about setting, but, like, it was still daytime. And this match takes place in night. Maybe, like, maybe just the sun never shines on Bray Wyatt's abode. Maybe his place of residence is just too depressing for the sun to go anywhere near it. But yeah, like, this match was a broken style TNA deletion match. But yeah, I didn't think there was anything in it that was as ridiculous, as fun, as lampoonish, and as deliberately awful as anything in the actual deletion matches themselves. I thought this was a really weak-ass attempt at trying to do that kind of match. And it makes me really worried for what WWE are going to do with the broken Matt Hardys if they decide to go in that direction with them.
See, I thought it was unintentionally awful, but I still laughed my ass off throughout the entire thing. Especially, oh god, when after you get over the fact that Randy Orton turned up to the place in a limo, after you get over the fact that he turned up in just jeans, after you get over the fact that it's just a weird house where where it's dark, but everyone else in the world is light, Randy Orton looks up at the house and says the words, "What the hell?" Like, did he not know a House of Horrors match took place in a fucking house? And that just set the bar. Set the bar for me.
A Punjabi prison match never actually took place in prison.
Yeah, but you would think a House of Horrors match would at least involve a location that you would call a house.
Yeah, I suppose.
Oh, but then it got better as you went into the house and you saw all the edgy and creepy stuff that they put in there that Bray Wyatt did the night before, waiting for Randy to come in like he's a busy housewife.
Who is it? Was it you who shared that? Was it you or Bradley who shared that tweet on with us lot? The one where it basically says it has two pictures of Bray Wyatt, and Randy Orton when they were as kids. And then it has them in the House of Horrors, and then underneath it's got kids. This is the dangers of opioid addiction.
That was not me. I think that was probably Bradley.
Yeah, probably.
Oh god, and what was there? There was just so much stuff going on. It was
The fridge did me in. Like,
oh,
just like ending a match by basically like shoving a fridge on top of a guy. Well done, guys.
what made that moment even better for me was that when they transitioned into the kitchen, and then I think they were meant to show maybe Randy Orton having his head put in a sink, and like maybe it was, I don't know what that was, but then Bray Wyatt grabbed the frying pan, and I was thinking, this is just an episode of Bottom now. I was like, this is what we've got to now, where Rick Mail is just battering Randy Orton
Rick
over the
Mail
head.
as Bray Wyatt and Ed Edmondson as Randy Orton.
Oh, and the room full of babies, full of babies,
Christ.
And they were all crying.
Oh, I'm so depressed. Like, I just want to know. I just want to know that none of this was Bray Wyatt's idea. I just want to know that none of this came out of the mind of Wyndham Lawrence Rotunda. Please.
No, he bought the house. He bought the house, and it was like, yeah, I want babies in this room. I want a dirty fridge in this room. I want a bunch of old furniture in this room. Oh, and also an attic that we're never going to use, but we're going to highlight. I mean, imagine that, where like Bray Wyatt slams Randy through the attic floorboards and onto like a bottom floor or something. That would have been epic.
That would have been a decent end to that match, especially because, oh my god! Like,
what I was disappointed with though was when after Randy Orton was squashed by a fridge, Bray Wyatt walked outside and then did his whole praying thing, and then the house turned red. Now I was thinking that he was going to set the house on fire, which would have been ironic. So much poetry in that image. But no, it was just red. And then he left. Yes, and he told his Uber to go to the arena. That was the only disappointing thing for me, other than it being unintentionally awful, and I was laughing throughout the majority of it.
I just don't think it was anywhere near as fun as what it could have been. It was nowhere near as like... They must have had time to think that through. They must have had time to script that, and I think they could have done a lot better. Like, you know, I mean, don't make this a job for, like, the WWE guys. Make this a job for WWE film studios. Just give them a budget and say, right, okay, we want to make a short horror film with these two guys. What can you do for us? Like, but that was just, it felt weak. It felt like a half measure. It felt like just utter weak sauce to me.
It's like, get the guys that did the whole Miz and Maurice imitating the Miz. Sorry, not the Miz. The Miz and Maurice imitating John Cena and Nikki Bella. And the whole thing they're doing with the Fashion Police right now. Get those guys. They know what they're doing.
Oh my god, the Fashion Police segment on SmackDown. I think I missed the first one because I missed SmackDown a couple of weeks ago. But the Fashion Police thing is really good. I was shocked at how good it was. I was shocked at how actually clever, like, the puns and the wordplay there was.
They were jaywalking and Jimmy walking.
That was fantastic. That was really good. And oh god, like, but even worse is when they actually made it to the arena. In the latest chapter in the systematic destruction of Bray Wyatt, the best character WWE had when he debuted in 10 years. He needs Jinder motherfucking Mahal.
Hindered by the Jinder.
To help him win a match. What the hell?
Just says it all, doesn't it?
He was getting his ass handed to him by Randy Orton in his own match until the Singh brothers and Jinder Mahal came out to save him. Like, what? Whose wife is Bray Wyatt sleeping with? Like, why are they doing this to him?
Who's Sweden Bix did he piss in?
I mean, okay. I understand. It took, Undertaker a few years. People always think that Undertaker was this, like, big personality who was immediately shoved into the main event of WWE and given win after win after win. No, he wasn't. He was given, he was only given a proper title run after several years. I think they only give him proper winning streak after several years, but I don't even think that he was booked to be anywhere near as weak as Bray Wyatt. Jake the Snake Roberts as well. Bray Wyatt, Jake the Snake never held a single belt in WWE. Bray Wyatt has now had the World Heavyweight Championship. But at the same time, Jake Roberts could never have been booked to be this week in WWE, because otherwise they wouldn't be the legends that they are today. And I just don't know what they're doing with Bray Wyatt. I really can't understand what they're doing with him.
I was going to say about Bray Wyatt and compared to The Undertaker, are they starting a streak with him, but like in the opposite direction?
Yeah.
That he's just going to lose every WrestleMania
Well,
until he finally wins one. And then we go, oh, cool.
He's actually got some way to go before he beats the Big Show streak, which was like, I think it was like 11 straight losses or something like that.
Oh.
Yeah.
Poor Bray Wyatt. Poor Bray Wyatt. And this is its intention to be a down, because god damn, this was depressing, in that ending.
Oh god, the ending was depressing, and for me the beginning was depressing. Like, I understand a lot of people had that like so bad it was good sort of thing, but I didn't even really think they had the energy or the pomposity or the cartoon like exaggeration and over the topedness that it needed to be that. I really didn't think much of it at all.
So you just thought it was just cringeworthy bad, not just not intentionally bad. I just saw it as unintentional bad, like when someone's trying their hardest to make it like a good thing.
Yeah.
That ends up being just shit. And that just turns out to be this entire feud. Good intentions, but overall shit.
Precisely, yeah. And then we've got Seth Rollins versus Samoa Joe, and I have to say, as far as this match is concerned, that was it. This was Seth Rollins versus Samoa Joe, two former ROH World Heavyweight Champions. Two of the biggest indie names to come out of wrestling in the last 20 years. And two of the best in-ring workers and two of the absolute best in-ring styles. And this was what they did with it. All I can think, because I can't remember bugger all about this match, I'm struggling to remember anything about it as it is. All I can think is that they are trying to protect Seth Rollins from being injured again, and they are being very, very cautious when it comes to this match.
Yeah, I feel the same way about trying to remember stuff about the match itself. Yeah. I remember being called out on Twitter over some stuff about the match because oh god, what was it? No, the finish itself was the finish itself was Samoa Joe put Seth Rollins in a coquina clutch, and Seth Rollins managed to roll Samoa Joe back onto the mat and counted 1, 2, 3. But the thing was, Samoa Joe's shoulder was way out, so there was no way. It? Yeah, I got because when you're live tweeting and you're tired as hell and you just want photos and you just want to go to sleep after seeing something so weird that you feel like you are dreaming at one point, so you're just posting pictures up and saying a funny tweet about it, and then it's just people like, but his shoulder wasn't down. I'm just like, oh, shut up. I'm trying to sleep. This match was, again, like it had the potential. It had the potential to be something good, but it just felt so safe, and so there was no risks in it. That's what I felt. There was no real risks, or no one was trying anything different with it. It was just a simple Seth Rollins versus Samoa Joe. Like, this match could have been on Raw, and you wouldn't have noticed.
Yeah, I mean, that was basically it. Was kind of Raw quality, and I'm not even sure. I'm sure Seth Rollins has had much better bouts on Raw than he has here.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it was quite disappointing to me. There was nothing that popped about it. There was no real despite the fact that they've actually been feuding for a while now, didn't feel like there was a real story. Like, there's been no progression to it. Like,
it didn't feel like a feud. It just felt like after they did the whole Triple H thing, it was just kind of like Samoa Joe's in the background, like, I'm still here. Do you want to face me? And he's like, sure. And now that's over.
I think we're still feeling the after effects of the Superstar shakeup, because honestly, I think since that happened, they're still kind of trying to find their feet. I think since the brand split, which was, a few months ago now, I think they're still feeling things out and trying to get a feeling for what works and what doesn't, because you got to remember, this is the biggest period of flux WWE has been in years, probably since they went after the territories. WWE is struggling to adapt to the talent that it's got, to the direction that it's going in. I think recently we've really been feeling the effects of that.
Yeah, you can definitely feel it on some episodes of Raw and SmackDown. Even on this pay-per-view, which is like a kind of mix between SmackDown and Raw, which, when you think about it, is like when they say Survivor Series is like the only way these brands will ever meet. It's like, well, technically that's not even true anymore at this point.
No, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like the brands did not meet at WrestleMania, but yet the brands did meet at Payback.
And not even in a cool way, it was just kind of like out of convenience.
Yeah. It was literally just like, right, okay, well, so I guess you're on Raw now, but we've still got a feud going on that kind of needs a resolution. That was another thing. Like, with the Bray Wyatt match, you knew Bray Wyatt had to win because they even took the whole, like, him being the WWE champion, like, it being a rematch for the WWE championship off of the table entirely. But now that leaves Bray Wyatt owed a rematch. What the hell happens to that?
No, he just doesn't have one anymore.
Yeah, no, he's on Raw now, and yeah.
It doesn't happen. It's gone.
And he's not, it's not even like, like, Seth Rollins, Finn Balor, Braun Strowman, Roman Reigns are all ahead of him in the line for the Universal title. So, like, he's at the back of the queue for that as well. Oh,
if we talk about Bray Wyatt, we're going to be here all day about what's wrong with him.
This is WWE's problem right now. What I saw on Sunday was a really good show that I really enjoyed consistently the entire way throughout. But the problem is that the company just gives me so much to complain about, even when I've thoroughly enjoyed myself. I can't act like I've enjoyed. Every time I start discussing it and dissecting it, all I can see are the things that are wrong with it. I think that's the problem.
Yeah, I definitely, like, spoilers for the end, I did enjoy the pay-per-view as a whole. I thought it was great. But there's just these little things that stop it from becoming truly amazing.
Yeah.
And it just didn't harm this pay-per-view, but harms the whole product itself. Because there's just so many inconsistent things going on all throughout that it's kind of like hard. It's hard to take in the good stuff because the bad stuff is just kneeling at the back of your head.
Yeah. It's like, we were discussing earlier. Sheamus and Cesaro versus the Hardy Boys was really good, but we didn't spend half our time. We didn't spend the majority of the time we allocated to discussing that match talking about the match itself. We allocated it to the fact that SmackDown's starved of talent. Raw is got tag team talent coming out of its ears, and some of it, like, they've got so much of it, some of it is languishing on the pre-show, which shouldn't be a thing, but it is.
It was a safe match. It was fine. Yeah. It was fine.
Anyway, so the last match, Braun Strowman versus Roman Reigns. What do you think, James?
I thought this was really good.
Yeah, it was really good.
I was shocked, honestly, because of all the stuff that's been thrown at Roman Reigns recently, and even when seeing it on, like, Raw, just seeing him completely dismantled, dissected, and destroyed by Braun Strowman, was just again made you. I like Roman in general. I'm not a big Roman fan. Before anyone gets upset, I'm sorry, don't hurt me. But I thought this whole thing did paint him in a better light.
Absolutely, yeah. I think that as well, yeah.
And Braun Strowman is just a fucking monster.
Yeah.
He legit scares me.
Yeah, and the thing is, people are a bit confused as to why Roman Reigns lost. Well, he was injured. That was made perfectly clear. I even think, like, I can't remember that much about it, but I think he did come, like, down to the ring with, like, bandages on his arm, did he not?
Yeah, he had bandages on his arm, like, around his chest.
Yeah, he had bandages on, so he looked wounded, he looked injured, and then Braun Strowman, a much healthier man, came out and absolutely destroyed him. So Roman looks, strong in defeat. He looks like a warrior, he looks like he's got the will to win, the courage to continue on, and Braun Strowman looks like a sadistic, vindictive monster, and that's fine. And yeah, that's really good booking, and I think that was really well-handled angle.
But now I've got an issue with it I've just thought of.
Oh, God. Yeah. God. Oh, no, we can't, we're critics. We have to say negative stuff about everything all of the time. So, yeah, go ahead, James. Yeah.
The negative that I can think of is that, so they're not going to do this whole heelish thing anymore with him. Because remember those words? Those words that he said after he retired The Undertaker, This is my yard now.
Yes.
And now we've seen him as, like, the worst person in the world, but now he's being booked as this strong, sympathetic underdog. So what is going on?
Well, in interviews, WWE creative have like essentially called Roman Reigns a new kind of heel, where
Bullshit.
essentially this is WWE eating their cake and having it. And I think I discussed this with you last time as well, where basically he's a heel to the guys who like know about the business, who know about, you know, like the smarks and the marks and things like that, but still gets all of the merchandise and all of the rest of it from, you know, all of the, you know, the kids and the teens who think that this is all real. So, you know, I don't personally like it. I think this is WWE not creating an organic storyline. I think this is them trying to troll the audience and seeing how much money they can make out of that, which at the moment is working pretty successfully for them. But at the same time, they were never going to book him as a heel because he makes too much money. He makes too much money through merchandise sales. Exactly the same way with John Cena. Which is why he's getting booed in the first place, is because the booking comparisons between him and John Cena, fans are like, oh no, we've been here before and we didn't like it the first time. And that's the story of Roman Reigns. That's the story of Roman Reigns. One thing I actually have to say.
I did distinctly hear, like, let's go Roman, Roman sucks. So, like, we've got the new John Cena now, people. Are you happy?
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, like, one thing I actually had to say, recently, because I literally, in preparation for this, wanted to see the Chris Jericho-Kevin Owens match. They basically did the same thing with Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho as they did with Braun Strowman and Roman Reigns, where Kevin Owens beats the crap out of Chris Jericho, leaves him alone, and then when everyone thinks he's gone, he comes back again. It was the exact same thing as what they did with Roman and Strowman.
I'm not finished with you.
Basically, yeah. So you're thinking to yourself, like, okay, I understand that was popular, but maybe, like, don't have Kevin Owens do a sloppy seconds angle?
I would just like to say as well, there was a funny bit at the, if you're watching Carried On into Raw Talk, which is like their...
Oh, yeah. I don't actually watch that, so if you watch that, that would be very helpful.
Well, like, what happened was it kind of leaked into Raw Talk where we saw Roman Reigns, like, carrying himself down a hallway, spitting up blood, you know, making us feel more sorry for him.
Yeah.
And he's, like, trying to get himself into an ambulance. Then, out on the left side of the screen, you hear... I'm not finished with you.
Oh, they did that on Raw.
No. Listen.
Yeah.
He comes running down as Roman jumps out the way, and Braun runs face first into an ambulance door and knocks it off its hinges.
Oh my god!
And then it just turns into a mini thing where Roman beats him over the head with like the still remaining door, just smacks his head in it, and it's just like, my god.
Okay, I need to see this because that sounds a lot more interesting than anything else I saw on the show. Actually, no, the show was really good. But yeah, no, that sounds really interesting. Yeah, no, I got to see that.
I just played a clip on loop of Braun Strowman saying, "I'm not finished with you," then running into a door.
Okay, James, what did you think of the show?
I thought it was a great show.
Yeah.
Honestly, there was only the little issues aside from the whole House of Horrors match, but overall, it was a great show.
Yeah,
I feel like the best decisions were made.
Mm-hmm.
So I look forward to when they do something else similar to this. If they do something like this again, obviously with some better outcomes, like not so stupid ones. House of Horrors.
I've already said a lot of my final thoughts on the match. You know, it was a really good show. There were so many good bits of it, but every single time I think about one of the good bits in it, I have to then put it into the wider context of WWE as a whole. And then I start seeing the flaws and the holes in the stories and the weaknesses in the creative direction they've got going. And yeah, like, I'm really sorry, guys. I've been quite a bit of a down today, so hopefully this isn't like a massively depressing podcast. But, you know, it was really good. If you just see this on its own, really great in-ring action, really good stories being told, and yes, okay, a lot of people were a bit down on the whole House of Horrors, and, you know, immediate social media reaction to this show has been that the show was awful because the House of Horrors match was crap. I think probably the House of Horrors match was probably a worse bad part than all of the other good bits were good bits, so that might overshadow the overall quality of the match. But you know what? If you want to watch it on the network, you can skip that. And the rest of the show, if you do that, the rest of the show is great. It is fantastic. It is really good.
Just when you're watching it, put in a copy of Bottom, and then just watch that for like half an hour. Then come back, and then you'll be ready.
Oh god! And if you guys are listening to this in like America or Australia or anywhere where you don't really know what a bottom is, type in Rick Mail Bottom. My god, you were in for a treat.
It's not dirty, promise.
Not much. Okay, guys, well, there you have it, folks. That was a SteelChair shoot. Thank you for listening to all of our ramblings. Say goodbye, James.
Goodbye, everyone.
Cool, and please don't forget to like, to subscribe, to share, and to comment if you agree or if you disagree. And please check out the mag at issuu.com/SteelChair. That's issuu.com/SteelChair, where you can find all of our back issues, and you can catch us on Twitter at SteelChair Mag. James, what's your Twitter?
My Twitter handle is JamesRT101.
And you can find me at Fight Like a Cow. Thank you, guys, and I'll see you next time.